Hello everyone, this is the Volkswagen ID.5 Pro, and last week, almost 2 weeks ago, I had the same car as a GTX version, and today I want to talk to you about, is the GTX the car for you or is the Pro better for you? We're going to go through all the differences that I spotted, that I noticed in my range test, long distance tests and everything. They both have advantages, but we'll see what is the best for you.
If your company has electric cars as company cars, of course you want your employee to charge at home. It's cheaper for you and it's easier for the employee. Tronity has a software solution for you to know how much you have to pay your employee for charging at home. With the Fleet Manager you manage your employees and your cars. Tronity connects to the cars and knows exactly when the car is charging at home and how much. And then you get an easy monthly bill for your employee. If you want to know more, there's a link in the description below.
So what is the basic difference between the two cars? There are two gigantic differences. The GTX has a 79 kWh battery, the Pro has a 77 kWh battery. They have different charging curves, we're gonna get to that in a second. And of course, different power. This car has only rear-wheel drive, 210 kilowatt, and the GTX has all-wheel drive, so another motor in the front, together 250 kilowatt. With this power difference you get of course a different acceleration. By the way, both have the same top speed of 180, but 0 to 100 in this car is 6.5 seconds. In the GTX it's 5.4, so 1.1 second faster, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. When it comes to the price, the GTX in Germany base version costs 8,000 euros more than the Pro version, and with this you get a few things. Like I said, another motor, a bigger battery, but also some features. Like I said before, design features and everything. So GTX logo in the back, in the door, in the seat, in the steering wheel, but also some other things. So the Matrix LED headlights is standard in a GTX. In the Pro, in the base version, that's not included. Also you get in a GTX standard 20-inch wheels. Here in the ID.5 Pro you only get 19-inch wheels. And there are other things like the climate, two-zone climate is standard, and a lot of other tiny things that are not standard in the base ID.5 Pro. Other than that, in the software, for example, there's just one tiny little difference, and it is in driving profile. You have traction, where with the GTX version for the all-wheel drive version, so you can have the best traction if you drive on snow or something like this. In the rear-wheel drive version you don't have that. Let's get to the consumption. The Pro has lower consumption than the GTX because even if the exact same configuration, it's a tiny bit more weight in the GTX, but that's not the problem, it's the front motor. Even though if you drive a constant speed and the motor is not getting power, it's still spinning along, and that gives you a bit of a loss, and that is around 6, 7, 8% depending of course on the speed. And you notice this, so you have higher consumption in GTX, but you have a bigger battery at the end, and we get to the charging curve in a second. So even though the GTX has a bigger battery, it has less range because of higher consumption. But then to the advantage of the GTX, especially in the 2026 model. This has changed from 2024 to now, since it has a new battery. In 2024 the GTX had the same 77 kWh battery, same size, but different chemistry, and the charging was pretty good in the bottom where it was higher than what the Pro can deliver, but then after 60% or even 50% it was lower than what the Pro can do, and then when you charge from 10 to 80% it was exactly the same time. But now, since the GTX has a bigger battery and an even better charging curve, it is faster by 2 minutes, 10 to 80%, and if you charge just to 50-60%, it's even faster and more minutes faster than this. So when you are on a long distance trip, the charging is just way better. But then comes the kicker. When it comes to range added into the battery that I have calculated, and I have an extra video about the charging, the GTX to 80% is still exactly the same. It charges better, has higher consumption, has a bigger battery, but when you charge from 10 to 80%, the same range goes into the battery. If you don't charge to 80%, let's say 60, if 60 is enough to get to the next charger, the GTX is fast on a long distance trip. Other than that, they're exactly the same. The overall driving feel between the Pro and the GTX is exactly the same. They have the same regenerative braking, which is weird, even though the GTX has 2 motors, but it doesn't feel any stronger, which is sad. So the only difference is the power, and this is significant. So not just 0 to 100, what I said, 1.1 second, which is a lot. It's also when you have to pass, so when you want to accelerate and feel a bit of power, you can feel it. It's a lot more power. It's not just 40 kilowatt, doesn't sound a lot, but it really feels like a lot, and the number shows it too. So if power, a bit more power is important to you, GTX is totally yours. If you want to get to your destination faster, GTX is also yours. If consumption and saving money is your thing, then the Pro is your thing. It doesn't mean that the Pro with 210 kilowatt is weak, but the GTX is just way better. It feels good. So you have to decide, what is your car? What do you want? You want low consumption and not spending a lot on charging, and the 210 kilowatt is enough. Then and the charging, which only goes in the Pro to 139 kilowatt, but it is above 100 kilowatt till 73%, which is okay, but still the charging curve is not amazing. Then the Pro is yours. If you want a bit of more power, and if you want a better charging, if you know, mostly I just charge to 50-60% when I'm on my drive somewhere, long distance driving, then the GTX is just way better. It feels better when driving, when you need power, acceleration, and the charging feels a bit better. They both have the same battery preheating and everything. It's done the same. Again, it's the same exact software, just a different battery with different chemistry. If you want to follow me on Instagram, BatteryLife1, and if you want to support the channel, there's a Patreon link in the description below. And here on YouTube, there's also channel membership. And if you want to know what's happening behind the scenes, I have a third YouTube channel, Behind the Battery. But that's it for me. Thank you much for watching. Have a great day and take care. Bye.